A poor woman walked by with leftover food. The boy's next words broke his father. The afternoon sun was soft and golden, glinting through the windows of a small-town diner on the edge of Chicago. David Reed sat by the window with his 8-year-old son, Ethan. Their table was filled with half-eaten pancakes, untouched fries, and the faint hum of weekend laughter from nearby families. David, a corporate consultant, was on his phone again, scrolling through emails, replying to clients, chasing deadlines that never seemed to end. Ethan, small and quiet, stirred his chocolate milk and watched the world outside. That's when he noticed her. A frail woman, maybe in her late 50s, walked past the window. Her clothes were worn, her shoes mismatched. In her hands, she held a plastic bag filled with what looked like leftover food from a restaurant trash bin. She wasn't begging. She wasn't looking around for sympathy. She simply walked, head down, shoulders heavy, as if the world had forgotten she existed. Ethan's eyes followed her until she disappeared around the corner. He turned back to his dad and asked softly, "Daddy, why is she carrying old food?" David barely looked up. "Some people don't have much, buddy. Eat your fries," but Ethan didn't eat. He stared at the plate. Full of food they were about to leave behind. A minute later, Ethan spoke again, his voice trembling this time. "Daddy, can we give her our food?" "Please?" David sighed, distracted. "Son, she's probably gone by now." Ethan looked outside once more, and then he said something that made David freeze. "Daddy, it's her." David looked up sharply. There she was again, the same woman, kneeling by the side of a dumpster, dividing the leftovers from a takeout box, carefully saving half in a small paper bag. For a moment, David forgot to breathe. Something deep inside him shifted. Guilt, realization, shame. He couldn't tell which came first. He stood up, grabbed the takeout boxes from their table, and walked outside with Ethan following close behind. "Ma'am!" he called gently. The woman looked startled, her eyes wide, unsure whether to run or stay. David smiled softly. "We had some extra food, fresh. Would you mind taking it?" The woman hesitated, glancing between them. "Are you sure? I don't want to bother anyone." Ethan stepped forward, holding the box in his small hands. "It's okay, ma'am. We don't need it. But maybe you do." Her lips quivered as she took the box. "Thank you, sweetheart. You're a kind boy. You remind me of my son." David blinked. "You have a son?" She nodded. "Had. He passed away 3 years ago. Car accident. He was about your boy's age." The silence that followed was heavy, almost sacred. Ethan reached out and hugged her. "I'm sorry," he whispered. David's throat tightened as he watched his son, so small, yet capable of such deep compassion. For years he had chased money, status, comfort, but in that moment, he realized how poor he truly was. Poor in time, poor in empathy, poor in heart. When they walked back to the car, David didn't speak. He started the engine, then turned to his son and said quietly, "Thank you, Ethan, for reminding me what matters." Ethan smiled. "Mom used to say kindness is free, Daddy. We just forget to use it sometimes." David's eyes welled up. His late wife had said those same words once, back when life was simpler, before the corporate grind swallowed his soul. He reached over and held his son's hand. "You're right, buddy. From now on, we won't forget." As they drove off, David saw the woman in the rearview mirror, sitting on the curb, smiling faintly, as if the warmth of that small act had melted years of loneliness. And for the first time in a long time, David felt whole. That night, David couldn't sleep. The city lights blinked outside his apartment window, but his mind was replaying every moment. The woman's trembling hands, Ethan's hug, and those 6 words that changed him forever. "Daddy." "It's her." He walked quietly to Ethan's room. The boy was fast asleep, his little hand still clutching his stuffed bear. For years, David had told himself he was working for his son, to give him everything money could buy. But tonight he realized Ethan didn't need things. He needed time. He needed him. The next morning, David took a day off. something he hadn't done in years. They packed sandwiches, bottled water, and drove back to that same neighborhood. They didn't find the woman right away. Hours passed. Ethan was starting to lose hope when finally, near the church steps, they saw her, sitting quietly with a small blanket wrapped around her shoulders. Ethan ran ahead, waving. "Ma'am, we brought you lunch." She looked up in surprise, then smiled, eyes glistening. "You two again?" David knelt beside her. "We thought maybe you could use some company." The woman's name was Grace. Once she'd been a school teacher. A car accident, medical bills, and losing her only son had stripped everything away. Her home, her savings, her will to keep going. But as she spoke, something in her voice, soft yet dignified, filled the air with warmth. Ethan listened like a student hearing stories from a favorite teacher. They spent nearly 2 hours there, talking, sharing food, laughing even. For the first time in years, Grace said she felt seen. Before leaving, David handed her his business card. "If you ever need help, a place to stay, or work, please call me." "You don't owe us anything," she smiled. "You already gave me more than I asked for, son." "You gave me hope." Weeks passed. David and Ethan started volunteering every weekend, handing out meals, visiting shelters, helping where they could. And every Saturday morning, Grace was there, healthier, brighter, helping others the same way she'd once been helped. She often said, "Kindness grows best when it's passed on." Ethan adored her. And David found himself looking forward to those mornings more than any business deal. One chilly winter day, as they served hot soup downtown, Grace handed David an envelope. "What's this?" he asked. She smiled. "Just read it when you're home." That night, David opened it. Inside was a handwritten note. "Dear David and Ethan, 3 months ago, I was invisible. To everyone, even to myself. That day when you stopped for me, you didn't just give food. You gave me back my faith in people. I found a part-time job at the community center now. I'll never forget the day your son looked at me and said, 'It's her.' Because maybe it was me. Maybe it was the person I used to be already before I lost hope. Thank you for reminding me who I am again." "Grace," David folded the letter and closed his eyes. A tear slipped down, but it wasn't from sadness. It was from peace, the kind you feel when life finally makes sense again. He walked to Ethan's room, kissed his forehead, and whispered, "You changed someone's world, buddy. And mine too."